stand series battle continue. We have once again the same Tyranid force. Been a while since I've said, but these guys are just about 1,200 points, I believe, coming in at 1195. If you guys want to check their roster, I believe it's mentioned in one of the very first videos. I am placing the World Eaters in there against them for this next battle. Just got the new codex, and I'm not going to lie, a little disappointed. This force here is exactly 500 points. So it's made up of Karn the Betrayer with a 10 section of Cornate Berserkers. We've got 8-bound, and then the Goremongers, which come in the Blood and Zeal package for Kill Team. So they do have stats. I was going to bring in the cultists that they have. I forget what they're called, just off the Jackals. There's 10 of them. They come in a little lower on points, about 20 points less, but you get 2 less models here, 2 extra models with them. But the movement for these guys is a little bit faster. My original roster for the World Eaters for this battle, and I was super excited to get it in there, it was just coming in under 500 points. I think it was around like 485, so still on the expensive side point-wise, but it was 2 sets of 8-bound. So we had the 8-bound and then the Exalted 8-bound. I had Karn the Betrayer and 5 Cornate Berserkers. The new rules do not allow you to have less than 10, so you have to have 10 Cornate Berserkers in a unit. And then the 8-bound, I personally believe, have taken a huge nosedive from their previous points. I wanted to see these guys like right up at the wall coming in against the Screamer Killer. I've mentioned too in previous videos that the World Eaters are probably my favorite Chaos Space Marine army for 40k. I don't know, I love them. Wicked paint schemes, very cool. I loved the 8-bound when they came in, as well as the Exalted 8-bound. They used to have different weapons profiles. They've kind of all just mashed in one weapons profile for them now too. The World Eaters, however, are very fast, so they move 8 inches, so even faster than the Slaneshian Emperor's Children that we saw in the previous battle. I'm going to see how this goes. Just, again, like from the look of the codex, I'm kind of like, almost like Master Militarum. It looks like they took a nosedive with the new rules, but we'll see how it goes. I'm still very looking forward to placing them here against this Tyranid force and see how they do. I'm hoping that these guys can maybe also take out the Screamer Killer. The last few forces have. If I still had my Exalted 8-bound and my 8-bound in here with their previous weapon loadout, I think that wouldn't have been a problem at all. I think the Tyranid would have had a hell of a problem taking them out. But with these new profiles, kind of, I don't know, not as great, but we'll see how it goes. So we're going to get into this. I am going to be shooting this one over a few days as well. We have the Victoria Day long weekend coming up here in Canada. So I've got a 3-day weekend coming up, which is pretty sweet. This is actually currently Tuesday, but I just wanted to get this video off because I just got the codex. I also got the Death Guard codex, and I might put them in here in a future battle too. They've had some rule changes as well, but I think not as bad a nosedive as these guys, but we'll see. I might be wrong. When these guys get moving, they might do great, and there are some new abilities as well, so I'm gonna have to do some research on that over the next few days, and then when I come back to shoot this one, probably Thursday-ish, to start that up, I'll have some more information under my belt, and we'll take it from there. If I don't do a sum up after that, we will be moving right into the movement phase for these guys, and that's going to be the World Eaters going first. Fingers crossed they do well, and I'm hoping that I'm just, maybe reading the codex wrong, but from my first look at it, a bit dumbed down. So we'll see how it goes. I'll be back in a couple of days. For you guys, it'll just be a second or two. So see you soon. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. We're back. For you guys, it was just a couple of seconds. For me, it's been a couple of days. It is now Thursday. We are going to take off with the World Eaters here, and it's been kind of a stressful week at work, so I'm just going in as hard as I can with these guys. There's going to be no holding back, no shoots. I just want to go in and stick completely to Khorne and just cut up Tyranids. So here we go. I guess Tyranid skulls still can adorn the Khorne throne. They look a little different from human skulls, but a skull is a skull, and I guess the Tyranid blood, even though maybe acidic, at least that was with their old rules, might still be considered blood for the blood god. So there is a new faction ability. I tried to do a little bit of homework here. It's called Blessings of Khorne, kind of similar to the Thousand Suns ability where they have the Cabal points. So you roll 8d6 at the beginning of your turn, and from this you can adorn them with special abilities, which is kind of cool. It's going to give them like a better charge roll. It might give them better attacks, sustained hit, devastating stuff. So we're going to roll here, and mattering on what I get, I can allocate these dice to specific abilities for the faction. So here we go. Let's see what we get. So we have a 1. I'm going to line them up here. 1, 2, 3s. I know that they have to be specific to the roll, so I got a lot of 3s here. I'm going to go down the list and see what we can do. So there's Unbridled Bloodlust, which is reroll charges, Rage-Fueled Invigoration. Each time a model in this unit makes a pile-in or consolidation move, it can move up to 6 inches instead of up to 3. Total Carnage, that one sounds pretty amazing, and it actually takes 3s to put it into action. So each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that has not fought this phase, roll 1d6. On a 4+, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks and is then removed from play. I think I'm probably going to go with that because I have a ton of 3s here. There's also something called Martial Excellence, Warp Blades, and Decapitating Strikes. I'm going to stick with Total Carnage, and I think that's going to come into play big time when I start to maybe take on the Screamer Killer and models like that. 2 max. So what I'm going to do here is 2 Total Carnages, which is going to be here and here, and the rest of the dice are not used this turn. I'll check those out later, and as the battle progresses, I might do some different moves, but I think that'll be good. I want to get these guys right into it, probably with the Von Ryan's Leapers, because they're within range, and these new Khorne models have very good movement. So Karn and his Berserkers have 8 inches. The Goremongers have 9, and the 8-bound have 10 inches. So I'm going to see if they're all in range, and I'm just going to get right into it and start rolling in the tray to see what we can do for hand-to-hand. So not yet for the Screamer Killer, but as promised, I want to see what these guys can do. So 8-bound are right into it with the Von Ryan's Leapers. They are getting the initiative. The 3 of them will be attacking first. More than enough movement for them to be able to jump right into hand-to-hand. The Goremongers have taken on the lesser models that are the Ripper Swarms. By doing this as well, the Barb Gaunts are not going to be able to shoot because they're locked in hand-to-hand combat, so there's a chance that they hit their buddies, so they don't want to do that. And then over here, I've moved the entire Khorne Berserker unit, led by Karn, if you can see him in there, against the other pack of Von Ryan's Leapers. I'm hoping that they're just going to completely obliterate them, and then these Berserkers are just going to rip it right towards that Turvagon. I want to see if I can just hack it up. It will get a move first, though, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm going to see also what kind of, Blessings of Khorne I can get here to help them out, because that's going to revolve every single turn. So right now we do have the 4+ rule to get them back in if anyone is killed here by a counterattack. We'll see if that happens. And then I might have to change up the strategy a little bit as we're taking on the Turvagon, Screamer Killer, and other models. But let's get this going. World Leaders just going to hopefully tear apart these Tyranid models. So over to the tray, and we'll come back and see what happens. We are over to the tray. I am very excited to see what our most expensive army point-wise can do. 500 points of Khornate Berserkers and Goremongers, and 8-bound. I'm going to be using red dice for them. All battle makes sense. Color their armor, color the blood that they're going to be spilling, and well, Tyranids might have like purple or green blood, but we'll see what happens. So I'm going to start off right off the bat with our Forces Warlord, Karn the Betrayer. He has 8 attacks, has not been dumbed down as much, I would say, as some of the others. Also, the camera's back up on the tripod, so I'm hoping that this is going to be in focus. I think it will be. I did a test there. Just kind of weird because it's on the side, but we'll get that sorted and hopefully it'll work out. So this is 8 attacks from Gorechild hitting on a 2+. 1 fell off, 2 fell off. I'm just seeing if you guys can see that. 6, 6, 5, 2, 4, 2. So those are all through. It is a strength 7 weapon against a toughness of 5. So we're looking for 3s to wound here for Karn. Couple more fell off. Come on, Karn. Jeez, man. You're supposed to be the dude here. -2 to AP, though, so this is going to bring the Von Ryan's Leaper up to its 6+ invulnerable, and any saves that are not made here are 3 damage per. So Karn actually single-handedly might take out these Von Ryan's Leapers. because 6 is hopefully hard to get for them. So let's see how it goes. Looking for 6s here for the Von Rein's Leapers. So they did save 1. However, 4, 5, 2. That is 3 damage per. 3, 6, 9. Karn himself has taken out the Von Rein's Leapers unit. And they're just, those Butcher's Nails are digging in. They want some more kills in, so they might be going towards the Turvagon next if it's in range, maybe the Termagant squad. We still have to see what the Tyranid do, but the first round out for the Berserkers, fantastic. And Karn himself has killed those Von Rein's Leapers. There is no need for the rest of the Berserkers around him to fight. And if they do get around something, that's going to be insane for the amount of attacks they have. So I would say dumb down in some regards to the 8-bound and the Exalted 8-bound. But the Berserkers are still kicking ass. I wanted to take 5 of them in this battle originally. You have to take 10 now as a unit, 10 to 20. So it cost a bit more, but it looks like it might be worth it. And now we are going to move over to the 8-bound to see what they do with their new statistics. So I'll be right back with that in the dice tray. Over to the 8-bound here. I decided to take 8-bound and not Exalted because I think these guys are going to buff out squads a little bit better than the Exalted. They used to have a lot more stuff, though, as I said at the beginning. There was a Feel No Pain ability with, I believe, the Exalted 8-bound. That's gone. They had different weapon profiles, too. So the Exalted 8-bound had some insane, like, chain fists that were included. It is now all encompassed under the chain blades. It is still pretty good. I'm hoping it's going to be able to do away with these Von Rein's Leapers. That is the test here, because these Von Rein Leapers are pretty good, as we've seen throughout the all of the Last Stand series so far. So this is 5 attacks per, so 15 attacks in total, hitting on a 3+ at strength 8. So we're looking for 3s here for our 8-bound. So I don't know if you guys can see that at all. We had a few fall off, 1, 2, 2, 1. These are all through. It's also going to be 2 damage per. So they're not quite as good as Karn, but Karn is, of course, the first captain of the World Eaters, and he's definitely 8-bound, just in kind of a different way. The guy's a madman. So we're going to do -2 to AP here, or sorry, strength 8 against toughness 5, so 3s to wound. Pretty good roll. We had a 2 in the corner there, and then 1. So all of these ones are through to wound. -2 to AP. This is going to be a 6+ save again for the Von Rein's Leapers with their invulnerable, and 2 damage per for whatever fails. So looking for 6s again for the Von Rein's Leaper unit here. 1 made a save again. However, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. The 8-bound have also completely decimated that Von Rein's Leaper squad, and they're going to be looking for their next target soon. So fantastic start for the World Eaters. I don't know if they're going to defeat everything on the board, but they might get a very good tally and be right up there with the Custodes, Black Templar, and we'll see how it goes. So I think I'm gonna roll off camera for the Goremongers. They're taking on the Ripper Swarms, not as cool and dramatic, but I'll let you guys know in just a sec how all of that lands, and we'll kind of sum everything up and show you guys where the Tyranid are and probably what they're gonna do for their move. So there they are, our 10,000+ Cornate Berserkers, World Eaters, survivors of the Long War, led by Karn the Betrayer, first captain himself, back out on the field. These guys just, Karn himself absolutely decimated the Von Rein's Leaper. He also gives some great abilities. We'll get into that in a little bit when I start getting into combat here again. They're doing very well so far. The Von Rein's Leapers didn't even get a chance to counterattack. And right now they're just frothing at the mouth. The Butcher's Nails are biting in hard, and they want to get after their next target. So there's Termagants. I was thinking the Turvagon, but it might just be out of range for them next turn. It is going to move, though, probably here. Maybe put some rounds on them, so it might be close enough for hand-to-hand. I'd love to see how they do. Toughness 11, though, so we'll see. And then over on this side, we saw as well in the dice tray that these once World Eater Cornate Berserkers, now possessed by 8 demons. They've survived the trial of that. Have also absolutely decimated the Von Rein's Leapers, and they are also looking for their next target. In range for them, the lone Ripper Swarm base, I'll get to that in a sec. The Termagants are pretty close, but I think they just saw what happened, and they're kind of like, hey, Screamer Killer, big buddy, can you maybe go take them on? Because I'm a little scared, so I'm just going to shoot with my flesh bore up and hope for the best. They also have a great toughness, so we'll see how that goes. The Goremongers were able to bring the Ripper Swarms down to one base with one wound remaining. The Ripper Swarm did counterattack though, and it did kill a Goremonger. The Coronate Blessing that I'd given there at the beginning did not pertain to these guys, so it was for 2 units. I used it on the 8-bound and on the Khorne Berserkers, but going forward, I may use it on them instead, because they probably have a larger chance of going down in hand-to-hand combat, so they can at least get into that Death Fury before they go down and maybe take out some models, because that might have been the end of the Ripper Swarm if he was able to fight back. So we're going to move over to the Tyranid now. The Barbgaunts are in range of everything, so they can start shooting. The Biovore as well, they can start dropping some Spore Mines. There's no one left in the facility. Khorne are not about that. They're not going to hide behind walls and just shoot. I'm not saying that that's a bad strategy. This is not Adeptus Astartes. This is Traitor Adeptus Astartes, Traitor Chaos Space Marines. And they are looking to kill everything that they possibly can in hand-to-hand combat, because that is the World Leader way. So we're going to get back over to the Tyranid here. I'm going to do their move, come back, and show you guys what has transpired. Tyranid movement is complete. The Ripper Swarms were all in range to jump into hand-to-hand combat with the Goremongers, so that's going to be interesting to see. They don't have a great strength attack, but they have a lot of attacks. And the Goremongers are not in power armor. They have a 6+ save, so that's very possible that some of them might go down, and they do not have that Coronate Blessing. Over here, we did have the Termagants, the Screamer Killer, the Termagants, the Parasite of Mortrex, and the Gargoyles are back here in range to be able to put all of their firepower onto the 8-bound. If the 8-bound are not injured here, they are probably going to be rushing in right at that Screamer Killer to prove their worth and get the largest skull on the board for the god that is Khorne. The Turvagon is a stronger model, but I think this thing has a bigger head. He's also bald like me. It's funny what they did with him, but it's a big skull. They want it. They want to adorn the throne with it for Khorne. On this side here too, the Berserkers are kind of in the middle of a whole bunch of shots too. So the Barbgaunts are going to be putting some rounds down on them. 20 Termagants, the Turvagon, and any of these Termagants that have line of sight. I think probably quite a few do. You guys can see from that angle. So we're going to see it's going to be a bunch of rounds coming in. I'm going to roll that off camera and I'll come back and show you guys. Hopefully there's a ton of Berserkers left. They do have 2 wounds apiece. Not the same kind of toughness that the 8-bound have, though. They have a regular 4 toughness like a Space Marine. Death Guard are a little bit higher with 5, but these guys have a 4. So we're going to see how it goes. And then next turn, however many are left, maybe you want many little Termagant skulls, or maybe try to get one more big skull for the throne. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to roll that off camera. Oh, and just, it's not the shooting phase yet, but I always like to put my Spore Mines in there so I don't forget. So they're 9 inches away from the 8-bound, and it's going to continue to float either towards them or towards the Goremongers if there's someone still alive. So we're going to get over to the dice tray now. I'm going to roll all of these shoots for the Tyranid and come back and show you guys how many World Eaters are still alive. Shoot phase for the Tyranid is done. Holy shit, there was a lot of shots. This entire side here fired into the 8-bound. So we had 10 Gargoyles, 20 Termagants in total. The Parasite does not have a ranged attack, and the Screamer Killer. They were able to wound one of the 8-bound, and that was the Screamer Killer with its Bioplasmic Scream that did that. Much higher strength attack at 8, only 1 damage, luckily, though. So that 8-bound is down to 2 wounds. We're still going to be doing the hand-to-hand here after. To sum up the rest of the shoot, though, the Barbgaunts, the 40 Termagants, as well as the Turvagon fired into the Berserker squad and actually did some pretty good damage. So those Flesh Borers, they are damn good little weapons for such a skittering little enemy that has a very low point cost. Perfect for taking out infantry units. Like, the Berserkers have that toughness 4, and their rolls, I maybe got 55% of the rolls for the Termagants, but that was enough to kill 3 Berserkers. So it's going to be moving back over to them here, but I do not want to keep these guys out in the open to be shot at again. The Barbgaunts did a little bit of damage as well. They have barb launchers, though, so they're getting tons and tons of shots. The Berserkers did okay. I think I am going to be going into the small unit here to try to take out as many of these little skitterers as I can because they seem to be doing the most damage. That'll be the next corn turn though. But yeah, flesh borers, pretty damn good little weapons at strength 5, and so many of them coming in at that strength. If they had like a 3+ and a -1 to AP, it might be the best weapon in the game, like way better than a bolt gun, I would say. Anyways, we'll get back over to the hand-to-hand here. I am going to roll that off camera. It is the Ripper Swarms with the initiative, and then hopefully there'll be some Goremongers left to fight back, and we'll see how that goes in just a sec. Hand-to-hand phase is done. Those Ripper Swarms, they have a terrible strength, but there's so many of them, they were able to kill a Goremonger. The Goremongers, however, counterattacked and were able to kill that remaining base with 1 wound and then another full base of Ripper Swarms. So this is going back over to the World Leaders now. I don't think I'm going to mess around. I want these 8-bound to really get right to the test and see if they can take on the Screamer Killer in hand-to-hand combat. I think that's going to be badass. We'll see how it goes, and it looks like they're in range. I'll have to measure that to be sure. I think the Goremongers are going to tie up the Barbgaunts because that's still a lot of rounds that can come down on the Khorne Berserkers. And then my Khorne Berserkers, I don't know if they're going to be able to take out the Tervagon, so I think I'm going to use them to go right into hand-to-hand combat with the Termagants here, and that's also going to be less shots coming down on them in future turns. And maybe these guys will be the first force if they can just do a whirlwind of chain blades, cut right through the Termagants, come down and kill the Biovore, because this thing has never been defeated. I'm not saying it's a big feather in the cap like killing the Screamer Killer is. Tervagon has not gone down yet in any of the last stands, but I think I'm going to do that just to make sure these guys have a fighting chance. So I'll do their move right now, come right back real quick and show you guys what I have done, maybe a little bit of strategizing on the side. And I also have to do their next Blessings of Khorne roll to see what kind of cool abilities I'm going to get with that. So I'll probably roll that in the tray. We'll do a little discussion there and come back for their move. I was just pulling up the abilities for Karn 2. I missed one. I don't think it would have affected anything, but he does have something, don't know if this is new or not, called the Legendary Killer. So while this model is leading a unit, which he's doing right now with those Berserkers, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll, any hit rolls of 1, and reroll a wound roll of 1. So I'm going to definitely be putting that into play next time. There's also the Berserker Frenzy, so I'll have to make sure the first time he gets destroyed, he actually has a chance of coming back to the fight, which I think is new as well, and he'll have 3 wounds remaining. So even if he gets killed by something, he's going to be coming back. But the Blessings of Khorne is up now, so I've got my dice. It's going to be our good old 8 red dice here, just like last time. Try to get those blessings going with the right color. Make sure that that's in frame. Perfect. So here we go, and we'll see what kind of... I really like the Total Carnage that we did last time, just to give them a chance to fight back if it happens. I might have to allocate that to the Goremongers this time, though, but let's see what we get first. So, ooh, lots of 6s. We'll see what that does. So I'm going to group these together just to make sure I know how much of each I have. So not only 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 4. So Total Carnage is not going to work because I need 2 3s for that. I need 2 2s to do Rage Fueled Invigoration and 2 1s for Unbridled Bloodlust. So I don't have any of those. I'll see if I can maybe add those to something though. So 2 5s, Warp Blades. Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Lethal Hits ability. Okay, Decapitating Strikes. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack that target an infantry unit, which could be happening actually with these Termagants, that attack has the Devastating Wounds ability. So I think I'm going to activate the Decapitating Strikes. So that's the 2 6s. And I will do the Warp Blades. So melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Lethal Hits ability. And that is going to be for my 8-bound. Sorry again, Goremongers. Good luck to you. These dice all fall off. So I'm just going to read up on this, make sure that I'm doing those correct. But that's Decapitating Strikes, the 6s, and then Warp Blades with the 5s. So we're going to get the move going. I'll show you guys that on the table, and then probably back to the dice tray really soon to get the hand-to-hand combat going, because I'm not shooting anything with these guys. It's all going to be chain blades. Very similar scene to what we saw in the last battle with the Warp Blades. These guys are a lot stronger than the Warp Blades, so we are going to see how this goes. I have the red dice back there as well, just to remind me what Cornate Blessing they have. So the 8 bound with a 10-inch move. I don't know if I'd said at the start if it was 9 inches they have. They have a 10-inch move, so the same as like a Von Ryan's Leaper. They're very, very fast. Faster than the Screamer Killer actually are in hand-to-hand combat with it. So if the world leaders can take out the Screamer Killer, they're going to be at the top of the list once again with Black Templar, Custodes, and Emperor's Children who've taken it out. So we'll see how that goes. Definitely going to roll that in the tray. Over here, the Goremongers have gone into hand-to-hand combat to help out their Coronate Lords in taking out the Barbgaunts to lessen any kind of firepower coming on them. And the Spore Mine's actually super close. So if it floats over and these guys are going, it's going to probably explode and maybe do some damage, but they don't care. They just want to kill for the name of Khorne. And then over here, I have the red dice as well, just to remind me of their blessing. I have Karn right at the front there, leading the charge with his Berserkers in on the Termagant models. And I want to see what these guys can do. They did take a bit of a beating there. There's only 7 of them left with Karn, but I think that should be enough to do some crazy damage. And if these guys do fight back, they might be able to wound some of the Berserkers. We'll have to see, but I'm hoping Karn with those insane 8 attacks and then the additional attacks coming in from the Berserkers are going to just completely devastate this unit. So over the dice tray, we're going to get that going, and I'm very excited to see how these blessings are going to work and also how many kill tallies we can get for Khorne. Okay, so using these blessings of Khorne for the first time, we're going to be rolling for Karn again, 8 attacks. They do have the double 5s that are activated, which is our Warp Blades. So there is the lethal hits ability with that. And I'm going to make sure that I'm following everything here to the best of my ability. There's a lot of rules with Warhammer. So like if you're playing one army, I can see you getting really good at it. I've got a few, like I know my Astra Militarum pretty well, but as we're doing these last stands, like it's a lot, but we're getting it. I hope I do everything correct here, and I haven't really used critical wounds, devastating, or lethal hits before in any of these battles, and I know some of the characters have had it, but since this is part of the Blessings of Khorne, I want to make sure that we do that. And if it does put them ahead of some other forces with their totals, tally kills at the end, we'll maybe have to take that in consideration with the way that they're placed. So this is going to be Gorechild, Angron's old axe actually that was gifted to Karn. So this is 8 attacks hitting on a 2+. So that's great. I just want to see if he's got any other abilities here with his new stuff. Yeah, so Legendary Killer is going to come into play when the Berserkers go next, but all of these are through. It is a Strength 7 versus a Toughness 3, so this is going to be 2s to wound, and any 6s here are going to activate that Blessing of Khorne for Karn. So we do have 1 6, so as per the rules, this is going to get handled later at the end. So we put all the others through first. So we had 1 fall off. These are all through, and it is going to be -2 to AP, which actually has the Termagants going up to a 7+ save, which is not possible since this is 3 damage per. So 3, 6, 9, 12 of the Termagants have been slain. And then we also have a mortal here. It didn't, well, it doesn't really matter because the Termagant's dead here too. So that's another 3. So we have 15 that have gone through. Again, if I'm wrong with the rules, please make a comment, let me know. But it looks like 15 of the 20 Termagants has died from Karn's hand. And now we move over to the Berserkers. So I'm just going to remove those models so I can keep tracking this. So 15 are dead, and then it's over to the Berserkers with Karn's ability to help them out. Just wanted to break up those rolls a little bit and show you the devastation that has been dealt by Karn himself. So I'm picturing like literally going around in circles here with Gorechild, kind of similar to like an old Dynasty Warriors attack or like Samurai Warriors. I've always thought too it'd be really cool if they did a video game that was based on Warhammer 40K, kind of in that Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors kind of scope. And you'd have like a Primarch and then a first captain, and you'd be able to choose. You'd be able to go between like, you know, the Traitor Marines and then the Loyalist Marines. I think it'd be super cool for Horus Heresy. Anyways, I also pity my Astra Militarum because the Khorne are lined up as a force that they will be taking on. And they're pretty similar stats to the Termagants actually, with a less powerful weapon, the good old las gun. So I'm going to have to blast the shit out of these guys with like if I have Rogaldorn tanks or maybe Hellhounds, we'll have to see something that's got a lot of firepower, because these guys coming at them in 8-inch leaps and jumping right into a squad of 10 Astra Militarum guardsmen, it's gonna wipe out my force in no time. So kind of good to know, testing this out too from Astra Militarum. So that is Karn's attack. He killed 15 termagants. It moves back over to the Berserkers now, and I believe they're probably going to be able to clean up here. With Karn's abilities too, I'm going to be able to reroll a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1. So if that's needed as well on top of the blessings, that's going to be great. So we are going to get back over to the dice tray now, and I just wanted to show you guys that's what that section looked like at the beginning, and that's what it looks like now. So back over the dice tray, and we'll see how the Berserkers do. So here we go with the remaining Berserkers. I'm actually going to start with the Cornate Eviscerators. They still do have a couple of profiles here. They have the Chain Blade and the Cornate Eviscerator. There are not 10 of them right now, but if there were 10, they're actually getting 40 hand-to-hand combat attacks. I think that's the highest of any force. I thought that, the 3 Von Ryan's Leapers, if you have 6 of them, that's a different story. That's a hell of a lot of attacks with, almost 40 there. But a full section of Cornate Berserkers coming in have 40 attacks if they all have Chain Blades. So we're going to start up with the Cornate Eviscerators. It's 3 attacks hitting on a 3+ at strength 8. The blessing is still going here, as well as being able to reroll 1. 1-1 and 1-1 for the hit and for the wound. So any ones here I can reroll, or any 1 here I can reroll. So looking for 3+ for the Cornate Eviscerator. And there's a 1 that I get to reroll, and that is now a hit. And here's the other one. Those are all through, 3, 4, 6. So it is strength 8 versus toughness 3. So this is 2s to wound, and I can reroll 1s, or a 1. A lot of 1s there, holy crap. So that was a good roll. I can reroll 1 each because there's 1 model each here, so a 5 and a 1 again. So those both fall off. No critical hits here, no 6 rolled. It is a -1 to AP though, which brings our Termagant, a -2. So once again, the Termagants usually have a 5+ save. This would be a 7, which is not possible. They don't have cover. So they have been wounded outright, and it is 2 damage per. So that is 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm starting to see that Berserkers against light armored infantry models is a bit of a nightmare. So again, great note from my Astra Militarum. And I might have been wrong when I started this battle, just stating that we'll see how the 8-bound do in a sec here, but the Berserkers are definitely as good as they have always been, maybe better. Not as happy about the 10-person, the 10-man section of them. We wish we could have had a 5 in here with the Exalted 8-bound as well, but that's okay. That's the new rules. So they have to have a minimum of 10 in a squad, and they've just wiped out 20 Termagants, while Karn wiped out 15, and then 2 of the other Khorne wiped out the remaining 5 without any of the other attacks going through. So they're just like swinging at air because they want to kill so many things. So we're going to move over now to the 8-bound. They're taking on the Screamer Killer, and I'll get that set up, and we'll roll it off in just a sec. And when we get all of the final tallies up there, I think that's the most Termagants that have been killed by a force to date. And there's another squad of Termagants, 20 of them, that it's very close. So those Berserkers might be taking more. I'm just checking here again to make sure that I'm using the Cornate Blessings correctly. So the 8-bound currently have Decapitating Strikes. So each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack that targets an infantry unit. Okay, so it's not infantry, it's the Screamer Killer, so this isn't going to apply. Just saw that now. Good to know, though, that is against infantry. The Screamer Killer is a monster. I'll see if they have any abilities against that, though. So while a friendly World Eater's unit is within 6 inches of this unit, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack that targets a unit, excluding monsters and vehicles. That doesn't pertain here either. So they have been dumbed down a little bit. I'm still hoping, though, with their power here and their strength 8 attacks, they're going to be able to do some damage to the Screamer Killer. I don't know if they're going to be able to kill it, but let's see how it goes. So each of the 8-bound has 5 attacks. So that is 15 in total. A little just short of the Von Ryan's Leapers there with their 18, but these are much stronger attacks. So we have 5 attacks at 3 Sorry, 15 attacks at 3 plus. So, and I don't know if they used to have a 2 plus as well to hit, but anyways, because these guys are like, that's all they can do. It's melee, and they're massive, like 8 demoned Khorne Berserkers. But anyways, so it's strength 8 versus toughness 9. So this is going to be 5s to wound. A little bit harder to roll, but let's see how they do. Wow, pretty good roll. So a few fell off here. There's a 4 in the corner. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we have 4 5s, 2 6s, -2 to AP. The Screamer Killer does not have an invulnerable save, which is kind of weird, but that's the way it's been throughout with these new rules for Tyranid with their codex. Unsure if it had an invulnerable before. I know the Carnifex does, as well as some of the other big models, but this guy does not. So it is a -2. This is going to be 4 pluses for the Screamer Killer, and everything that does not make it through is 2 damage. So we're looking for a 4 plus for the Screamer Killer. And 50%. So 3 were saved. 2, 4, 6 damage has gone through. The Screamer Killer has been reduced to 4 wounds. So I got to flip its token around, make sure that that's reflected, and it is going to be able to fight back. So we'll get back to that in just a sec. I found out too, I forgot to mention that earlier, but with the Blessings of Khorne, you can use any dice. So there's a plus at the end. So if it's a bunch of 2s, you can do that as a 1 plus because it's a 2. Or if you have 6s, you could do 2s, 4s, whatever. I should have maybe done the previous blessing that we'd used where they would get to be able to attack even after they were killed. So if these guys are still going after this one, we'll definitely try to put that in place if I get the rolls for it. But right now, this is back to the Screamer Killer, counterattacking with Screamer Killer Talons, 10 attacks hitting on a 3 plus. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1. So those fell off. This is a strength 10 versus toughness 6. So it's going to be 3s to wound. Yeah, very good for Khorne there. 3 more fell off. -2 to AP. These guys do have an invulnerable. Their regular save is 3 plus, so this is going to bring them up to that invulnerable of 5 plus. And every attack that gets through here and is not saved is 3 damage from the Screamer Killer. So this thing is still pretty nuts. The Custodes made it look easy, as did the Black Templar, but it was softened up a little bit by the servo there. If you guys want to check out those previous battles, they're just the 2 right before this. Or 3 before, because we had the Emperor's Children as well that were able to kill this thing too. But here we go. So it's going to be -2 to AP, 5 pluses for our 8-bound. So we have a 4, a 5, and a 2. 1 was saved. This, however, is 3, 6 damage. So 2 of the 8-bound have been killed by the Screamer Killer, and there's 1 remaining with 2 wounds. So I'm going to make sure that's reflected, and we're going to get over to the Goremongers there. I'm going to just roll that off camera and then show you guys the outcome versus the Barbgaunts. Summing that turn up by the World Eaters, the Goremongers were not able to do any damage to the Barbgaunts, and the Barbgaunts actually killed one of the Goremongers in the counterattack. So you know who I'm not too worried about against my Astra Militarum? The Goremongers, and they're going to be in there in that fight. They were a cheap model or a cheap unit to put in here because I only had a few points left after I had to kind of rejig the force. So I was looking at putting in Jackals. I didn't. I popped in the Goremongers instead. They've done okay. And in hand-to-hand, they'd still, I think, give the Astra Militarum a run for their money. But if I can keep these guys at bay and fire at them with las guns, I think I'll finish them off. You guys saw the outcome of this one in the tray, but the lone 8-bound is still there, still pissed off, might run right back in against the Screamer Killer. We'll have to see. There's not really anything else around here. And if he doesn't want to take 38 shots, whatever it's going to be, and probably go down from that just with the luck of rolls, I think he might try to get in there. The Screamer Killer may, however, mattering on what the hive mind is telling it, stay back right now and allow its entire force around it. Sorry, I just had dinner. Its entire force around it to shoot into the 8-bound. So we'll see what's going on there. I definitely still always play very smart for my Tyranid. I can remove these. That was the old Blessing of Khorne. And then our insane World Eater Khorne Berserkers, led by Karn, were able to massacre that 20 section of Termagants. They, however, did face a lot of shots last turn. The Barbgaunts are still at full strength. The Tervigon's got its Stinger salvos, and the other termagant unit here is going to probably shoot. And once again, the hive mind is probably going to tell this thing to back off, try to stay out of range of hand-to-hand combat, and just start to fire in. Because even though they are insane, butcher-nailed Space Marines, they still only have a toughness of 4. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to move the Tyranid, come right back, and show you the strategy that I have employed for them. Tyranid move is complete. We have our 8-bound staring down many flesh borers, as well as the Screamer Killer. The Parasite of Mortrex did not move in. It has seen what this guy has done. The Screamer Killer is not happy, but the Hive Mind told it to stay back because, you know, those attacks still hurt. So it's like, no, I'll just use my Bioplasmic Scream and try to melt this guy. Over here, I was going to use the Barbgaunts against the Berserkers, but I'm actually going to turn them over onto the Goremongers because, again, they didn't do any damage, but they were hitting them with chain blades. So the Barbgaunts hurt, and they said enough of that, so they're going to fire into them. The Berserkers are facing down another section of 20 Termagants that moved just over to the left 6 inches to get everybody in range. The Tervigon backed up. It's going to put its Stinger salvos on them, and I don't think I'm actually going to use a Spore Mine this turn, so I'm going to use the Biovore with its actual artillery ability, because it is actually a pretty strong attack. They're in range, and they're getting very close to the Biovore, so it is scared, and it's going to fire right into their faces. So I'm going to roll all that off camera. It's going to be a lot of dice rolling there for the shoots, and I'll come back and show you guys how many World Eaters still are around. And I have a feeling it's getting pretty close to those last stand turns. With Karn's ability, I'm almost positive he's going to be the last one here because he does have a chance to come back with 3 wounds after he's been killed if I roll high enough. So if I get a good roll with him, we'll see how it goes. I'm also going to get back over the World Leaders after the Tyranid turn, and we will see what kind of blessings they get and how that might help them for the remainder of the battle. But this is still the Tyranid, so it is their shoot. Nothing in hand-to-hand combat. And we'll see how many World Leaders are dead. All right, Tyranid shoot phase is done. There were 2 Cornate Berserkers killed from the 28 shots that came in, plus the Biovore. 2 went down, and it wasn't great rolls for the Termagants, and actually 1 is down to 1 wound. Over here, the Barbgaunts fired into the Goremongers. They are all finished off. They got very good rolls. I think it was 25 shots that came in from the Barb Launcher. And the toughness is actually 4 for the Goremongers, but it's a strength 5. They just couldn't take that many shots, and they fell. This may prove my point in regards to the weakening / dumbing down of the 8-bound. It was not the Screamer Killer that killed him. Still quite a lot, 30 shots of flesh borers came in, so 10, 20, 30. All of them at strength 5. He's a toughness 6, so you know it's not the worst roll for them. But there is no longer a feel no pain roll that you can do after. I forget if that was just the 8-bound or if it was the Exalted. But he was finished off by flesh borers. So I was hoping that he'd be able to have one more crack, maybe run in a Termagant squad and kill them all, but that is not the case. It is back over to Khorne, though. I'm going to be rolling in the tray to see what blessings they get. And the squad is dwindling here, so we have 5 of the original 10 Berserkers. Karn is still there at full strength, though, which is dangerous. And they're going to be running right into that Termagant unit. So I'm going to do that on camera. Definitely 8 inches. Our straggler there with the 1 wound. No, that's Karn's spot. You don't get that spot. Karn's up front. The Eviscerator dude's in behind. There we go. So we are going to get the Khorne blessings going. I should have done that first, but it's okay. I'm over here, so I'll do that. And then we're going to roll in the tray and see how many of these Termagants get killed. Maybe it'll be the whole squad again. Over to the dice tray. Okay, another blessing of Khorne roll here. Hoping it's not our last. I don't think it will be. I'm hoping these guys will survive another turn. Let's see what we get. We'll group them up. Make sure you guys can see there that they're in frame. So 2 1s, 3 4s, 6, 3, and a 5. So from this, we could do Unbridled Bloodlust, Rage Fueled Invigoration. We have pretty much everything open except for Warp Blades and Decapitating Strikes. So I'm going to go with the total carnage again. I have the 2 3s by using, let's say, the 3 and the 4 here. And they're the only unit left, so that's what I'm going to do. And this is if the unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if by some chance that happens. Anyone that has not fought that phase is going to roll a d6, so that'll come back for the counterattack if that happens. That's true. So that's what I'm going to keep it at, and we're going to get to the roll-off here to see how the Berserkers do against the Termagant squad. And of course, I already had 8 dice here, which is also the amount of attacks that Karn has. There's no coincidence there. That is the number for Khorne. All of the Chaos Space Marines underneath a Chaos God usually have a number that's assigned to them. So it is going to, or like a worship number. So this is going to be 8 attacks, again, hitting on 2+. And those fell off. So he does have the ability to have that roll for his group, but not for him. So when they attack next, if needed, they'll be able to do that. And that was that all 3s? No, there's a 5 in there. Okay. Strength 7 versus toughness 3, 2s to wound. Oh, 2 fell off. Karn, holy Dinah. It's a 2, man. -2 to AP brings them up to a 7+ save. They don't have cover, so this is automatic again. So that is 3, 6, 9, 12. He killed 15 in the first squad. He just killed 12 again right now. I am going to remove them, and we'll get over to the Berserkers to see how high that tally goes. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Coronate Eviscerators. The 2 of them are still in the squad, so it is 3 attacks each, hitting on the 3+. And I can reroll a 1 here for each model, or for each turn. So we'll see how we do. 2 1s. So a lot fell off. I can reroll 1 of these. So these 2 are gone. The 3, so that's great. It is 8 strength versus toughness 3, 2s to wound, and I can reroll a 1 here as well. And I'm going to need it. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's a 1. So 2 are through. This guy, let's see if we can get another one. We did. 5. It is a -2 to AP. That brings our Termagants again up to a 7+ save. So automatically 2, 4, 6, 8. And that kills the remaining Termagants. And imagine that, it's 8. The good old Khorne number. So we just killed 8 of them. And they have wiped out another Termagant squad. And there we go. Another 20 Termagants dead. They definitely have the highest tally of Termagant kills. So these guys are perfect for killing lightly armored infantry units. They are the only remaining unit left. Karn is still there. We have the Tervagon very close. The Biovore can still fire right into their faces, so we'll see what happens there. The rest of the models, though, are all on the other side of the table. So the Gargoyles are going to be using their speed, as well as a parasite of Mortrex to fly, and everything else is going to have to get over there quick, because it's possible that these guys are going to kill the Biovore, which would be the first force to ever do it. And the Tervagon is there, but it's just out of reach, probably of getting it hand-to-hand. So I'm going to move the Tyranid, get some strategy going there, and I'll come right back, because the Hive Mind wants to figure out how quickly it'll be to kill these guys with some kind of plan. So that was something a little bit new. Not too many enemy models left to move. So the Tyranid move was actually quite quick, because those 40 Termagants, all of Von Ryan's Leapers, Ripper Swarms are dead. The Tervagon, again, just outside of reach there, but it is going to be able to shoot at them. The Biovore remains stationary. The Barbgaunts did not move. They just rotated, so that's going to still have their heavy ability in place to up their ballistic skill and get a better roll. Ripper Swarms moved up 6 inches. They're trying to chase down those Berserkers. I didn't move this guy, so let's like, bloop, there's 3 inches. The Gargoyles moved 12 inches. They are now out in front of both the Screamer Killer and the Termagants. Didn't move these guys, not much point. I don't know if they're going to be able to get there in time. We'll see. And the Parasite of Mortrex is hauling ass, because he's like, well, I've been lazy all game. I better get out there and try to do my part for my forest, and I'm the warlord, and I'll get them in that. So that's the end of the Tyranid turn. Over to the shoots. I'm going to do that in the tray, make sure everything's in range that I'm firing with. I'm pretty sure the Barbgaunts are in range. I'll have to double check. Tervagon definitely is. Biovore definitely is. And we're going to see how that goes in just a sec when I come back and show you guys the outcome of the shoot for the Tyranid. Tyranid shoot phase concluded. The Tervagon the Biovore, and the Barbgaunts all fired into the Berserkers. The Barbgaunts were able to kill one of them as they got 24 attacks, I think, with their shot. And it is a toughness 5 or strength 5 versus toughness 4. So got some very good rolls for the Barbgaunts, and one of the Berserkers was killed. So there is still one that has 1 wound from earlier. We have 4 left in the squad with Karn. It is moving back over to them for their movement here in just a sec. I think the Biovore might just be out of range, so I may actually move in and take a shot this time to see what happens. And then after that, yeah, because the going in against the Turvagon, I don't want these guys dead right away, and I don't think they do much with the toughness 11. So even though they are under like a blood surge with the Butcher's Nails, they're still not stupid. They're Space Marines that are altered, superhumans. So I think they're going to try to take out this Biovore maybe with some ranged attacks. So I'm going to do that. We'll come back, show you guys the move, and then we'll get into the shoot if that is what I decide to do. It's also getting late here. It's Thursday night. Got to work tomorrow up at good old 4:45 a.m. to get into the office. So I'm probably going to finish this one up Friday night, and it is a long weekend. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get a second one of these last stands done. Maybe Death Guard, because I'd love to try out their new codex. It just came out, and see kind of how they're doing compared to what they used to be. But anyways, that's for another day. I'm going to get this move done right now and the shoot, and then we'll finish up for tonight, I think, and it'll move back over to the Tyranid tomorrow after work. Berserker move is done. They moved up about 4 inches. And, Karn is no longer who he used to be, but he was always kind of said to be super, like, calm compared to a lot of the Khornate Berserkers, even with the Butcher's Nails. And, he's still keeping the squad kind of in control and making sure that they're not doing anything stupid. Because if I'd moved in any closer, these spore mines that are around the Biovore to about here is at 3 inches. If they move again, it's about here. So it's going to give them 2 turns to kind of make a decision here if they want to kill the spore mines or the Biovore. The Biovore still has a very good ranged attack. Didn't do much last turn, but it might this turn if it gets better rolls. But that's just Karn settling down his boys there, and they're going to start shooting here. I would love to kill the Biovore. It's got 6 wounds. It's a pretty, or 5 or 6 wounds. It's a pretty good model. So I think I'm going to shoot it, and then we'll maybe deal with the spore mines after. And I don't know how much longer they're going to be around anyways, or at least the Khorne Berserkers, because that Turvagon is within range next turn. Karn might be able to come back to life with a second go, but we'll see how they can do against the Biovore. So I'm going to roll that off camera, come back, and show you guys if they were able to kill it. That sums up my turns for tonight. The Khorne just finished their shoot. Not as great as I was hoping. Just scanning across the field here to show you guys where everybody is just before I turn it off. Again, this is going to be like 2 seconds for you, but it'll be a day for me. So Karn was not able to fire with his plasma pistol. The 2 other champions beside him were able to shoot. So one's an icon bearer, actually. The other one's a champion or an ex-sergeant when they used to be Space Marines. They fired in, and they were able to bring the Biovore from 5 wounds down to 3. The 2 Marines on the side here as well had their bolt pistols. They did not fire. Kind of a cool thing, actually. Their ballistic skill is a 4, which is up there with like Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum. So usually Space Marines have 3, and I believe almost all Chaos Space Marines have 3 as well. But they've built that in to show that these guys are still pretty crazed and frothing at the mouth to get into hand-to-hand. So they're just like whipping off bolts and plasma blasts. So kind of a cool mechanism in there. It sucks like if you're trying to shoot with them, because plasma pistols and bolt pistols only have 1 attack, so you don't have any extra rolls or re-rolls or double attacks. But yeah, kind of a cool mechanism that's been built in to reflect Khorne, and it makes you want them to get in even more and get into hand-to-hand, which I've been doing all battle. And I'm not going to lie, it's been a lot of fun. So other than the 8-bound kind of sucking, they don't suck, but just not as good as they used to be. The Berserkers seem to be able to hold it together. So if you guys are going to play World Eaters, I would recommend getting a whole bunch of Berserker models and just running the board with them, going 8 inches and getting into hand-to-hand combat with anything that's close to you. So that is it for tonight. I'll be back really soon for you guys. And it's moving back over to the Tyranid move to continue this one. We are back. It is Friday after work, long weekend ahead. I've got my Death Guard loadout already as well for the next battle. I'm decided I'm going to do them. The Tyranid just moved here, and the Carnifex moved up its full 8 inches. We have the Gargoyles steaming along. This poor guy is just kind of floating 3 inches. Oh, please, I'm just trying to blow up. Let me do it. Parasitomortrix went here. Ripper Swarms and our Barbgaunts did move. It's not going to affect their heavy because they're not going to be able to shoot because the Turvagon was in range and it is now locked into hand-to-hand combat with Karn and his fellow Berserkers. So this is going to be hand-to-hand right away in the tray. That Turvagon is pretty nasty in hand-to-hand, so let's see if it can kill them. If not, they're going to be able to fight back and maybe strip some wounds. And by the Turvagon doing that, he saved his buddy the Biovore too, because they were coming for that next turn. And that's not going to happen just yet. So over the dice tray, and we'll get this one rolling. Okay, here we go at the dice tray. This is the Turvagon attacking. I was thinking about allocating these wounds to Karn because he has that chance of coming back. I am going to actually allocate anything to the Khorne Berserkers first. And if this kills them outright, then the rest of the attacks will go on to Karn, but I'm hoping that those Berserkers will be able to take most of it. So this is going to be the Massive Crushing Claws of the Turvagon. It is 4 attacks hitting on a 4+. That is a saving grace. It's a little bit higher and harder to get. So there we go. And not a great roll. 1, 1, 2, 5. So 1 is through. It is Strength 12 versus Toughness 4. So this is going to be 2s to wound. It is a 5. Minus 3 to AP. That has our Berserkers up to a 6+. Here we go. They got a 1. That did not save. And the damage for each attack that goes through with the Crushing Claws is a d6 plus 1. So it's possible. I don't think it's going to kill them outright, but it's definitely going to do some damage here, no matter how high the roll is. So we're hoping for a low roll for the World Eaters and a high roll for the Turvagon. So let's see. And that's not great. It's a 5 plus 1. So that is 6 attacks that have been allocated to the Berserkers. I'm going to go tally that up, remove the Berserker models that have fallen, and we're going to see what's left and if they're going to be able to get a counter attack or not, because the Turvagon still has his massive Scything Talons, and I'm going to decide which profile I want to use for that too. So I'll be right back after I get all those wounds allocated. That is 6 to the Berserkers. Okay, so with that attack, there remains Karn and one other Berserker. I kept one of the Eviscerator Berserkers in there to make sure that if they do fight back, it's going to have a bit more strength, but the Turvagon is not done. So this profile I've chosen is going to be the Massive Scything Talons Sweep. So this is 8 attacks, hitting on a 3+, Strength 7, with a -1 to AP. The other variant of this is the Strike, which is 4 attacks, but I'm hoping for the Tyranid side, since these guys have a toughness of 4, that this is going to do it. So 3 pluses to hit. Oof, and all are through but 1. That's not good for the Berserkers. Strength 7 versus toughness 4. This is going to be 3s to wound. More fell off there. 3 1s. -1 to AP, so the Berserkers, the lone Berserkers are going to have to make 4+ saves here. These are still all allocated to him, and he actually did pretty good. It sucks because he is done, but there was a 6 rolled, so he saved with the 2 4s. And then the 3 has delivered 2 damage. So this Berserker had only 1 wound left. He is done, and Karn is going to be able to fight back though. So all those wounds were allocated to the Berserker models, and Karn's going to be able to fight back right now. So I'm just going to remove that Berserker, and then we will get to Karn for his fight back here, and we'll see if he can avenge his World Eater brethren. Karn's turn to fight back. We got those 8 red dice rolling for him. It is hitting on a 2+. And we got everything through. That's fantastic. It is Strength 7 versus Toughness 11. So we need 5s to wound. And a lot fell off, actually. So we have 2 3s, 2 2s, 3 to 4. 2 are through. It is -2 to AP. The Turvagon does not have an invulnerable save, so it's up to 4+. And it did save 1. 1 did not get saved, so it's actually been delivered 3 damage by Karn, and it is down to 13 wounds. I'm going to set that, and then it's back over to Karn for his move and anything else he has planned. So Karn didn't take any shit there. He gave it a couple chops in the face, and the Turvagon backed away. Karn is now in his move. He's the final model here left for the World Eaters. I'm not surprised. And he does have a chance of coming back. So I'm going to flip him around here. That looks like 8 inches. I'm going to grab my measuring tape just to see. Pop that down for a second. Nice shot of Karn there for you, and we'll get the... Look at that. It's 8 inches. He's going in against the Biovore. He wants to get some more skulls. The Biovore skull looks pretty good, so he's going to chop that thing up, hopefully. So that is the movement for the final Khorne World Eater model, Karn the Betrayer, their first captain, and we are going to see if he can take out this Biovore before he is done, and then it is back over to the Tyranid, but we will go to the tray to roll this off because I want to see how he does. And I almost forgot, but we actually have to do the Blessings of Khorne here. So I have my 8 dice. There's only going to be one thing here that can be allocated, but let's see what Karn gets and what we can do. So we got 1. Just going to group them up here. 2, 6, 4, 3. Hope you guys can see that from your side. So Rage Fueled Invigoration. Each time a model in this unit makes a pile-in. No, he's already in there. Total Carnage. You know what? We got 2 4s. Let's do Martial Excellence. So melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the sustained hits 1 ability. So that's going to be these 2. Everything else is dropped off. And we are going to get that sorted out in just a sec. Wanted to roll that, and I'm just going to make sure that I know what's going on there with the sustained hits. So once again, just double checking the rules there if there's a lot. So this is sustained 1, so any critical hits here, so a 6 rolled, is going to be an extra hit. So Karn is rolling with his 8 attacks, hitting on a 2+ with Gorechild. Can't roll any 1s again. That's for the unit that he leads, and they're all dead. So he is the last one, but there's a lot of dice through, so that's great. It is Strength 7 versus Toughness 6. This is going to be 3s to wound. The Biovore's got pretty good toughness, too. I guess it is a cannon for the Tyranid, so it makes sense. So 3s for Karn here we're looking for, and any 6s is going to be an additional hit. There was 1 6, 3 1s. Starting to roll poorly here at the end. It is -2 to AP, but that's an extra hit. So we're going to have 4 dice here to be saved by the Biovore. If you guys, again, want to give me a note on that, I think that's probably how that should work. So it's -2 to AP. That brings the Biovore up to a 5+. It does not have an invulnerable. And any damage that gets through is 3 per. So it's very possible that Karn might kill this thing. I just noticed that the spore mines are around it, so they're both going to blow up because they're 3 inches away from Karn, but he doesn't care right now. All of his buddies are dead, and he's going for it. So we're looking for 5+ for the Biovore. So rolled 1, 6. That was saved. However, 3, 6, 9 damage. That has killed the Biovore. The World Eaters are the very first army in Last Stand to take it out. They literally crossed pretty much half the battlefield, got over to the corner, killed it. I am going to be doing Floating Death here in just a sec, though. Karn does have his ability to come back to life, so we're going to see if he can do that. And that is only, of course, if the spore mines explode. But the Biovore has been killed, and I'm going to go over and move it away from the board, and we'll get into Floating Death in just a sec. There is Karn victorious, killed the Biovore, and then he's like, whoops, there was a couple spore mines over here. So that's almost like an ammo cache that's going to like explode. It would be similar if there's like artillery shells here or something. So I'm hoping Karn will get poor rolls by the spore mines here, and he can continue to fight. But they're both going to explode here, so I'm going to go over to the dice tray, roll that. This is also, I think, the first time that I've moved the Tyranid this far down the board. I know they had to kind of get employed there to try to take out the Custodes. This is going to be a heck of a reset, too, because I have to bring back a whole bunch of dead models. The Berserkers have done fantastic in regards to models killed. Not so much with the big models, but As of right now, they're probably hitting like high middle of the pack for all the last stand battles we've seen. So I'm going to get to the dice tray. We're going to roll for Floating Death. Cover that for anyone that hasn't seen that. It's happened a few times in previous battles. And we're going to see what happens to Karn. Okay, so we're back to the dice tray to see what's going to happen to Karn here. So Floating Death, each time this unit or an enemy unit ends a move, for each model in this unit that is within 3 inches of one or more enemy units, which is the case right now for 2 of them, select one of those enemy units. That model in this unit is destroyed, so there's only Karn to select from. Then roll a d6. On a 2 to 5, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Karn does have an invulnerable, but a mortal wound bypasses that, and you cannot use your invulnerable, so that will take a wound off of Karn automatically. However, if a 6 is rolled, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So it's very possible here, if the Spore Mines roll well enough, that Karn might take 6 wounds. Which would take him out for his first life, as he only has 5, and then we can get to his special ability. But for dramatic effect, we're going to roll here. So if you're cheering for the Tyranid, you want to see a 6. If you are cheering for the Berserkers, you want to see a 1. So here's the first one. It exploded. It's a 2, so that's 1 mortal wound to Karn. Next one is a 1, so nothing happened. So Karn's got the Luck of Khorne there. Definitely some 8-bound powers. So he has lost 1 wound. He's down to 4 wounds, but he's still fighting. And both Spore Mines have also been removed. So add to that tally for the Berserker's total for kills. There he is. Karn the Betrayer just survived 2 Spore Mines blowing up in his face. 1 did not roll well. The other one took 1 wound off of him, so he's down to 4. On what is possibly his first life. There could be a second. I'm going to do a few moves here because the Tyranid are so far away. So if anything happens here, like I'll probably try to sum it up in one chunk, so I'm not going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The Turvagon does have its ranged attack. The Barbgaunts might be in range too, so I'll have to check that out. So I'm going to move the Tyranid as far as I can go. I'm also going to do their shoot off camera, come back, and show you guys what's happened to Karn. Tyranid move has concluded. So the Gargoyles were just out of range. They moved up as far as they could. The Barbgaunts got into range, but they had to lose their heavy ability for that. So they had to roll 4 pluses, which is more difficult. The Parasited Mortrix cannot shoot. Neither can the Ripper Swarms, are too far away. And the Turvagon put its Stinger Salvos into Karn. Nothing happened to Karn. He saved everything. It is back over to him, and I have my measuring tape here this time, so we don't have to worry about going back and forth. And he wants to take this thing out again. So we'll be rolling the Blessings of Khorne, and Karn has gone in again to try to hurt this Turvagon. We'll see what happens. It's a very strong model, but right now that's pretty much all he's got, and he only has 1 shot with his plasma pistol, so I want to make sure he's got a chance here to hack it up. So over to the dice tray again, and we'll see what happens with Karn and the Turvagon. Okay, so we're starting up again here with Blessings of Khorne. Let's see what we get. Ooh, lots of 6s. So 1, 3, 3 4s, 3 6s though. So our 6s again are decapitating strikes. So each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack that targets it's an infantry unit. Damn it. So I'm not going to use that. I'm going to do the Warp Blades. So melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the lethal hits ability. So I'm going to use these 2, turn them into 5s because it's a 5+. Those are 6s, so we're good. These dice are thrown out, and any hits that are critical become lethal. So we're going to get to the rolls right now for Karn, and he has his 8 attacks with Gorechild. So just getting his profile up here. There we go. So 8 more dice. You could have just held on to them. Hitting on 2+. All are through. Fantastic. Strength 7 versus toughness 11 though. So this is going to be 5s to wound. We did get a 6 though. So all of these did not hit. 1 is through. This is going to be a regular save. So that's going to be a, sorry, not a regular save, a 4+ for the Turvagon. And he saved it. Shit. This, however, has gone through due to critical hit, and it is 3 damage. So the Turvagon is down to 10 wounds. So Karn's done some damage. However, it's going back over the Turvagon to fight back. Hopefully Karn won't lose his first life here, but we'll wait and see. Just going to get everything sorted there, make sure the token is reflecting the right wounds, and we'll move on to the roll for the Turvagon. Okay, so that Turvagon is down to 10 wounds. All of the different weapons for melee that it has, though, are going to be going at Karn solely now. He doesn't have his Berserkers there to take a lot of the hits. So starting off with the Massive Crushing Claws, hitting on a 4+. 2 fell off. That's good for Karn. They were 6s. It is Strength 12 versus Toughness 4, so this is going to be wounding on 2. Both are through. -3 to AP, that brings Karn up to his 4+, so we're looking for 4+s here. And 1 is not. So this is going to be D6 plus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. Karn has 1 wound remaining after that, and he still has to survive the next few attacks. So this profile I'm going to use is going to be the Massive Scything Talons with the sweep again to get myself as many attacks as I can from the side of the Tyranid. This is hitting on a 3+. So we have 3 that fell off. Strength 7 versus Toughness 4, 3s to wound. Okay, a couple fell off. Karn's really holding on here. Let's see what happens. It is only a -1 to AP, so this is going to be Karn's 4+ again. 2 damage if it is not made. And he didn't make one of them. So he saved this one. This one has gone through. It's 2 damage. I'm going to be rolling now while we're still live with Karn's Berserker Frenzy. So the first time this model is destroyed, at the end of the phase, roll 1d6. On a 2+, set this model back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed, and not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, with 3 wounds remaining. So we need a 2+ here for Karn to keep going. Oh no, he didn't get it. So that was a 1. I tried to roll my red dice there for Khorne to help us out here. Karn has fallen to the Turvagon. I'm going to be summing this one up in just a sec and showing you guys their kill tally. It is super impressive. So we'll do that in just a sec. I'm going to remove Karn, and one hell of a fight by him. Alrighty, so there's the Turvagon, just did away with Karn, the Betrayer, first captain of the World Eaters, put up a hell of a fight. I was really hoping to be able to use that Berserker Frenzy and get that extra life going. The force that remains is not huge. I'm just scanning over right now to show you guys. There's 10 termagants still at the back. I decided not to move them because that's going to make my setup a little bit easier when I set these guys back into their spot. The kill tally is pretty insane model-wise. So this is the Berserker's kill tally. It's a lot. So we have 1 Ripper Swarm base, we have 1 Ripper Swarm unit, 2 Spore Mines, 2 full sections of 20 termagants, which is the first time that's ever happened. We have 2 full sections of Von Ryan's Leapers, and we have the Biovore, which is another first. So the Berserkers literally ran across half the table and put their chain blades into that Biovore, well, I should say Karn did. He got exploded by a couple of Spore Mines and kept on going there to fight the Turvagon, but incredible kill tally. So if you guys are going to be playing World Eaters, I would say pretty damn good against infantry, as we saw in here. I'm very worried from Astra Militarum when they take them on in my next crusade, but we'll see how that goes. And by doing this, I'm kind of getting a plan together for them too, to know what kind of loadout I want for them. But another fantastic battle, so much fun. This is the Last Stand series, Finnigan 40K. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give us a like, subscribe, comment, whatever you guys want to do. Less armies now to show you, but I'm going to get Death Guard up here. I have a very cool roster in mind for them, very Nurgle-ish, so that should be great. There's going to be some demons in there, but I'll let you guys see that. It's going to be probably shot tomorrow or Sunday. I'm going to edit this one up hopefully tonight and get it out there for you guys. Blast to shoot and to film. Always fun to edit these, very quick to do. So yeah, thank you guys again for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.